Hello, I'm Tim Moody, the President and CEO of Pan Global Resources. We're a TSX-V company. We're focused on copper in southern Spain, in particular the Iberian Pyrite Belt.
Tim, thank you very much for the introduction. Good to be speaking to you again. I last spoke to you in April. You were trying to get land access to expand around your La Romana discovery, and I can see that you've got that land access to the west, and you've been drilling. You've done a couple of update calls with Matt, and today you have just put out some new drill results or news release with what you've seen in the drill holes to the in your first drill holes as you kind of moved from La Romana over to to Romana West. Get the names right. A bit of a surprise for me to see that there are no drill results. A slightly unorthodox approach, and I know you're kind of a conservative guy. So tell me a little bit about kind of why you put that news release out now, please.
It was the second release we put out this week. We put out some news on Tuesday as well. So from Cañada Honda target. So really, the reason for putting that both those pieces of news, we've had firstly in the exploration work that's going on the western extension from our discovery at La Romana. As most of our investors and those who've been following the story know, for a long time we'd been waiting to get access to that western extension over what we call our Romana West target. And so we got that access, announced that a few weeks ago, and we've been hitting the ground really hard with multiple sort of geophysics and geochemistry mapping surveys, etc., and the drill rigs.
Sorry, did you say you just got it a few weeks ago and you've gone to drilling already?
Yeah. No, we were on the ground the day after we signed the access agreement, and we were drilling within sort of 4 or 5 weeks of that access agreement. So, we really, as I say, we really hit the ground hard with 2 gravity crews doing detailed gravity surveys over it. We've had IP crews doing IP surveys along the trend, as well as geological mapping, geochemistry, etc. And the drill rigs, we built the first drill rig on a few weeks ago, and very quick.
Were you able to assimilate the data that you gathered to kind of refine your drill targets? Or was it just confirmation, and you didn't need to actually change any of the logistics?
Of course, the geophysics and geochemistry mapping and so on can go along, progress much faster than the drill rig. So we thought, well, we'll just continue that work. But look, we've already completed detailed gravity along the western extension of La Romana over the Romana West target. Right to the western edge of the mineralites in that area. And now we're progressing the surveys to the north, where we've got 3 or 4 other targets. And I think that's really interesting as well. Already we're starting to see some new targets emerge, from the gravity and also the IP. So, but look, we had a rough plan of drilling, a 25 to 30 hole program on sort of 100-meter line spaces, sort of fences of holes to try and at least push the strike extension or test the strike extension west of Romana for about another 500 meters. So, what we've done with the geophysics and so on is to refine the positions of those drill holes. I had the pleasure of going to Spain last week to see the results of those first couple of drill holes over the fence in this new area. And I thought it was newsworthy enough, and particularly given the sort of pretty frequent questions and emails and calls I get asking how are things progressing in that area. So really very encouraging. I thought that we're seeing mineralisation from near surface in those early holes, and the geophysics and other work is already showing that we've got plenty of strike extent to go and test, and I think what geophysics it may even extend further than we thought.
So just for context, sorry, I've just been doing I've got some muck in my fingers, but from La Romana, which is about 1.2 k's long, you had a kind of 800 meter extension to the west, which is what you're now putting those fences over.
Yeah.
And the first 2 holes are on that first fence, and it's kind of confirmation of the continuity of the mineralizing style that you've seen in La Romana. It's not something new. It's a continuation. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. I mean, previously with the old, all we had was some old gravity. This is an area that hadn't been explored since the early 1980s, and there's some coarse spaced gravity surveying information from Exxon from those early days, and that's what we were using as our sort of initial indication that things might be continuing in that area. So, but there seemed to be a gap right where the boundary with this farm was. So hence we've called it a separate target called Romana West. But we didn't know how that was going to continue across that fence. Of course, we had indications that it could based on the gravity, but we had no other information. There was some mine workings over there, but that's all. So.
And you've found down the hole, you've found some chalcocite, some chalcopyrite, some coarse-grained cassiterite, and deeper down the hole you found some little bits of massive sulphide. So it's basically encouraging, is what you're saying.
Exactly. I mean, we chalcocite or the supergene enrichment style mineralisation, not something we've seen everywhere. So that's encouraging from quite shallow. As I put in the photograph, there's a picture of some chalcocite. From around 50 metres depth, so that's pretty encouraging as it stands. But then to see the cassiterite as well, visible cassiterite again, that's quite encouraging. We knew from the drilling that we'd done on La Romana that we could see that the tin was continuing and increasing potentially in that direction. So we're already seeing, visible cassiterite and coarse grain stuff as well. So, look, really encouraging at this point. We'll have to wait for the assay results, of course. And we're pretty thrilled actually with what we're seeing.
I mean, I remember last time we spoke, you said that the tin grades seemed to fall off to the east of La Romana, and they were better in the western end. So it's encouraging to see that. You also spoke in April about doing kind of different metallurgical test work to understand how the tin is going to behave and how it might report. Presumably that's still work in progress.
Yeah, that's right. And I think I said we'd be 2 or 3 months before we get the results from that tin metallurgy. So that work is in progress. So I don't have anything to report at this stage, but it's underway. We drilled some dedicated holes for the tin metallurgy, and fingers crossed. But we should have some more news to report on that at some point. But we did report the copper metallurgy, and that was excellent. So,
and just to put the things in kind of geographical context, you've got the kind of the Romanas down at the bottom, Romana West, and the original La Romana, and then you've got this new kind of land package which has got some kind of anomalies stacking up to the north, and then there's a kind of a band in the north, and you've published some drill results from one of those targets up in the north. That was called Cañada Honda, something deep or something wave.
Yeah, Cañada Honda was so that's a target we'd identified very early on, and it had a concept there that some older sort of footwall rocks were being thrust over the top of the prospective volcanic rocks, and so we thought it might be a deeper target, but there was an old mine working on the southern edge of that, and so we did do an early hole there just to underneath that old mine work. We got a little bit of mineralisation, not very much, but then we followed that up with some IP geophysics over that mine working, and we saw a nice target emerge extending beneath that mine working. So we went in and we drilled 2 holes, hole CHD 3 and 4. That was we got a bit of a surprise. Let's say we got they were decent results. Too early to claim a discovery, but copper and gold, and the gold was something different. We're getting up to 5 grams gold, and we were getting some percent levels of copper, importantly, it looked like it was increasing down dip towards a big a gravity anomaly. And we're at the eastern end of this gravity anomaly, which is about 2 kilometres long. So anyway, so 3 and 4, we released those results. And after that, we decided we'd drill 3 follow-up holes. The first was going to test the gravity anomaly, and the next follow-up hole was going to, which is the hole 5, which is the results I reported earlier this week. And then the next follow-up hole was testing a downhole electromagnetic anomaly from the previous drilling. So, which was suggesting there could be better sulphide mineralisation perhaps further to the east. So we've put a hole in to test that. We've hit some mineralisation coincident with that conductor as well. We have to wait for the results. But further confirmation the geophysics is working. And then the hole that's in progress at the moment, the third of the 3 follow-up holes, is testing a different geophysics feature again, which is a resistivity low, so potential conductor target. And I should say that those 3 follow-up holes they're testing 3 different geophysical features to give us an idea what's working best, what technique is going to give us a better indication of which direction to follow. But they're all quite big step outs. So hole 5 reported this week was a 150 metre step to the north of our previous best hole, and we've hit 20 odd metres at 0.5% copper with some gold. Within that, there's another sort of 5 or 6 metres of 1.3% copper plus 0.5 gram gold. So really, really very encouraging, and it's of course completely open in all directions. But really importantly with that hole is that it's the first test of the gravity anomaly, and we've got mineralisation coincident with it. And that's a plus 2 kilometre long gravity feature. So, no guarantees here, but that's we've got a big target in front of us, and we seem like we're getting closer to what's actually more important.
So, if I can kind of summarise what we've been talking about and where you've got to, in a sense, you've got kind of incremental expansion of the main targets down in the south with step out lines of 100 metres and kind of a systematic approach to drilling, and the first few drill holes you're hitting mineralisation that you can see, which is what you've reported today. You've got a land access to a kind of a tranche in the west, which is opening up a number of new targets on which you're doing geophysics and geochemistry on, and then up in the north you've taken a kind of slightly higher risk approach to test geological theories, geophysical anomalies, and kind of some kind of more aggressive step outs. And at least one of those has been successful in picking out coincident mineralization with gravity anomalies, so it opens up more targets in the north.
That's right, and the second follow-up hole I reported, we've also hit mineralisation coincident with the downhole electrical magnetic conductor as well. That was 100 metres out as well. So, of course, we don't have results for that, but we know we've hit mineralisation there. So both techniques seem to be working. So one more hole to go, which is another step, quite a big step. In those sort of step outs in these types of deposits, in this type of environment, which I'm sure you're aware is a pretty big step, because these are typically sort of compact ore bodies. You can fit a lot of mineralisation between holes 100 and 150 metres apart. So
when are you going to have your next kind of board level review? When do you have your next board meeting? When do you discuss what you're going to do? You've got you had, I think, kind of $6.5 million at the end of April. You've got I don't know how many drill rigs you've got going at the moment, but you've got a limited number of bullets to fire. And I don't want to preempt what your board meeting is going to come up with, but what are you thinking at in terms of kind of strategy, in terms of focusing on the south or pushing in the north?
Yeah, good question. So, look, I think it's a balancing act, particularly in this road. As you know, it's been a pretty tough few months particularly for the junior mining companies. We're not seeing much reward for good news. Our share price seems to be holding, but not. We've put out a series of what I consider as good news, and there hasn't been a hell of a lot of reaction. But that's the same for most other juniors in the space as well. So we're not being treated any differently, if you like. So it's a bit of fun. We maintain that aggressive, the continued aggressive exploration program that we've been running for the last 2.5, 3 years, or do we slow down? Well, what we'd like to do is continue to push ahead. And I think, what's particularly encouraging at the moment is that we've got 2 drill rigs operating at the moment on 2 different targets, both hitting mineralisation at the same time. So that's pretty encouraging. I think we had a budget, a plan for this year of about 20,000 metre program. We're chewing through that, and I can see from the size of the target at Cañada Honda and from the geophysics and work we've been doing at Romana West, that I think we're going to need more drilling than we've got planned. So that's going to be. Yeah.
You've said that you're getting inbound emails. I mean, and telephone calls. People are paying attention. So it's not as if you're doing stuff and no one cares. You may not be seeing it in the share price, but if you've got enough people, it seems as if you're being noticed. Let's put it that way. And just look what Robert Friedland said this week. I mean, he was saying that we've got this. What do you call it? A train crash, a train wreck was, I think, his words, in the copper supply side coming. So you might get institutional support or funding support from people who are listening to Robert Friedland, if nothing else.
Yeah, look, we've been working hard on the sort of getting the company better known this year. We've had a pretty organised marketing strategy. Reaching out to different institutions in particular. We've had a lot of meetings, and what's been really encouraging in the last couple of months is that we've had some inbounds from calls from institutions who we hadn't met, and who have been seen what we're doing, starting to sort of see, okay, we've got something, our copper project, which is not that many that in our situation. So there is, I guess, people are watching. Some of the institutions, I guess, are seeing that this is potentially a time of opportunity as well. And yes, couple that with comments like Robert Friedland made, which is sort of similar to words that I've used, actually, where I thought that something's, we're heading for a crash here at some point. So in terms of, a lot of things come together, under exploration, investment in exploration, under investment in new capital development and expansion of existing mines, all of these things, and then couple that with the requirements for critical metals like copper to support the carbon-free transition and the increased electrification, which is where Robert's coming from. All of those things coming together at the same time, it does sort of shape up to being a crisis in terms of potential undersupply of copper when the world's going to need it most for this energy transition. Oh,
you're absolutely preaching to the choir, and I think I've given spare time and friends and family. I'll tell the same people exactly the same story, about the copper supply-demand fundamentals. With great respect to you and possibly to me, I think Robert Friedland's got a bigger audience than we do.
People pay attention to Robert. He's hugely successful, operating, fantastic copper operation in Africa, and
Oh my goodness, 104,000 tons this quarter. It's remarkable. You see, your market capitalization is actually at the stage now where it's you've got enough heft there. You're around $70 million Canadian, just under. You can actually do a decent capital raise and not wipe out explorers. When you've got a sub $20 million market capitalization, and you need to do a $5 or a $10 million raise to bolster, strengthen the balance sheet and actually go and hit some exciting targets hard. If you've got a micro market capitalization, it just wipes you out. But where you are, you've actually got the ability to raise proper growth capital, which is it may feel painful, but actually it's non-dilutive because it's going to take their equity up to the next level.
Yeah, well, look, obviously, we've been fortunate. We haven't needed to go and raise money for the last couple of years. We've been well funded, and we've been able to run a very aggressive exploration program. But we're seeing that encouragement at the moment that we're going to need a lot more drilling, and so we need to plan for that as well. So it is a balance in this current sort of soft market. What do we slow down or do we continue? I'd like to continue. And that's going to be the discussions that we've got to have over the next few months. But look, what I think I've certainly been working hard to try and position Pan Global as one of those companies that differentiates itself from many of the other, say, copper companies, in that we have something that's pretty advanced. Yes, we haven't put out a resource yet, but we've drilled 160 drill holes into La Romana. We know a lot about it. We know where it is, etc. We can see that it's got potential to be a mine in a stable location, and something that could be brought into production reasonably quickly. And I've said, by that I mean within the, say, 5 to 10 year frame, when copper prices are expected to escalate at some point, whenever that will be. So when that starts to happen, when this the rubber hits the road, that following what Robert Friedland mentioned, then hopefully we'll be seen as one of those attractive opportunities in the next upward cycle. So
good, Tim. Thank you very much for the update. It sounds really exciting, and there are not many decent grade copper projects which can get built around the world that have got kind of good scale potential, and you've got so many exploration targets. So good luck in the months ahead, and I look forward to seeing what else your crew can deliver in terms of correlating exploration targets with a bit of geophysics.
As you know, we're target rich. We've got a lot of targets, and that it's pretty exciting to have drill rigs drilling on 2 different targets, both hitting mineralisation at the same time, and plenty of other targets to go. And I think this is the other significance of the results, that early results they are at Cañada Honda, is that, again, this is further evidence of the potential that we can make a discovery on any one of these other targets that we haven't got to yet as well. So exciting.
You just got to get the land access to that last one, Bravo farm area, that gravity anomaly, and then you'll have the full rain, or the full access to the suite of targets.
That's right. Yeah.
Good. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mel.